right, I'll leave out the Aaron Sorkin thing. We'll just have to start over.
We allowed to talk about Aaron Sorkin, apparently.
Yeah, anytime I speak his name, it goes dark.
Okay, so this is like the third time we're doing this intro. Madalyne's laptop just died in the middle of doing this as she was speaking about Aaron Sorkin, so we're just going to skip over that. And
but regardless, we're back, and we're better than ever.
This is another Picture Show podcast. I am Olivia.
I'm Madalyne.
And we are officially back for season 2.
I love the idea of seasons for this show.
We just decide to go on a 3-4 month break, and then
we don't tell anyone.
As if that was we meant to do that.
Yeah, we kind of were like, oh shit, we haven't done this in a while. We just checked out, and then we're like, you know what, fuck it. That was our first season.
Yeah. We got 10 episodes, so like it's like a nice even number to say was season 1. And
that's like a Netflix original show. They do like 10 episodes a season. Mm-hmm. So we're on par with like Stranger Things, so I'm not too upset.
Our first 10 episodes really launched us into the pop culture sphere. But I'm really happy to be back. We had a lot going on, so we had to take a little bit of a hiatus.
You know, a lot has changed. You know, we went through the holidays.
Mm-hmm. We ended off like right before the election.
Yes, because we posted Trial of the Chicago 7 on election day, but the results didn't come out until a couple days later.
That Friday or something.
Yeah, so a lot of world events happened.
We got a new president.
We have a new man's. Try not to get too political, but so far I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Anyway, we'll just leave it at a 3-word or a 4-word review so far. What the fuck, bro? Question mark.
I moved.
You moved.
I moved to a completely different city.
Lovely. We love
Madalyne got a new dog.
He did.
Adorable. You know, we've had a lot going on the past few months. But I'm excited to get back into some reviews. I've missed ranting and raving about different films that make me mad.
Lord knows I have as well.
I've seen a few in the past few months. So this week I figured we could watch something that we know that we will enjoy.
Okay.
To dive back into the podcast. So this week I thought that we would do a double feature.
Ooh, started off strong.
Yes. And I thought that we could do, as a tradition, another vampire movie.
Ooh.
2 vampire movies.
Ooh.
It'll be kind of the staple of how we start each season from now on.
Which I'm into.
So since we started season 1 with Twilight, I figured we could do New Moon and Eclipse this week.
Yes, I was really hoping because like you're like hinting at it being like not Twilight, and you're like a vampire movie, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know, I'm like Blade, I don't know any vampire movies. Yes, okay. The last time I watched New Moon was with you, and I was crazy drunk.
Yeah, I don't think we actually watched it because it was literally right after we watched Cats, and we were
blasted.
Yeah,
that was one of the worst hangovers I've ever had. Like that was nasty. With a capital NARSTY. I don't think I've ever actually seen Eclipse start to finish. Sorry if you hear dog whining.
It's all right.
No, I think I watched New Moon, and then I don't know if there was like a big gap or something. Like just by the time Eclipse came out, like I wasn't that into the like seeing it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I definitely haven't seen Breaking Dawn parts 1 and 2. But I'm excited because I love Twilight. I am, ever since we watched it season 1, like I've been like, it's kind of like peaked my like obsession again, like my childhood obsession. But this time it's more of like a satirical obsession where I'm like, just the movie's so ridiculous.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. We send each other Twilight memes all the time. I'm very excited.
All right. So with that, we're going to go watch New Moon and Eclipse, and we'll be back with our review in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. I'm ready for the Twilight talk because I'm wearing my flannel and I got my, Bella hair going.
I know you look so Forks, like Forks Creek.
Very Pacific Northwest.
Bella's one who?
All right. So New Moon is a 2009 film directed by Chris Weitz, the director of American Pie.
Interesting choice.
So we've gotten rid of Catherine Hardwicke and we're going in a new direction. How would you sum up the plot of New Moon?
Quick summary. So Bella is super mad that she's still a human and turning 18 because Edward is 17 forever. He's frozen at 17. And so it's her 18th birthday. They roll up to Edward's family's house, like super cute soiree. Bella is handed a gift and she opens it, paper cut.
Immediate paper cut.
Immediate. Like
she didn't even unwrap the wrapping. She just held the present.
Had the paper cut, but it didn't spring a leak until she started opening a gift. So
it was a lot of blood too. It wasn't like
it was like she got shot. And so the newest vampire sibling, Jasper, who's still like getting control of himself, like he's been through a lot, he just goes buck fucking wild. He's like, I'm gonna tear this bitch up because I'm hongy. And then they were like, Jasper, no. And they make it worse by breaking glass, and Bella like is just attracted to broken glass. So she's like all cut to ribbons and is just bleeding everywhere.
Well, Edward throws her across the room, which doesn't help.
Edward eats her, and then she's cut to ribbons on this glass, and they make it worse. And Jasper's like full throttle murder mode. And so after they mitigate that situation, Edward just brings her into the woods and is like, I'm leaving and you will never see me again because I'm too dangerous. So he leaves and leaves Bella in the woods in like probably like 8 o'clock at night. So she just collapses. Like she's so distraught. Then they find her, whatever. Fast forward like 8 months. Like she is dead ass depressed. She's not gone out. She's like done the bare minimum to be a human for like the last couple months. And finally her DILF dad, Charlie, is like, listen, you need to get out. Like you're freaking me out. Like you're screaming in the middle of the night. Like you need something new. Like I just want to help you. So in comes Jacob, sweet Jacob, adorable Jacob, just the cutest little patootie you've ever seen in your life. Hashtag Jacob, not Jacob Lautner, Taylor Lautner.
When I was doing, quick aside, when I was doing a small bit of research for this movie, I looked up, Taylor Lautner, and when I put it in the Google, like immediately underneath it was like, who is Jacob Lautner? Like, so apparently you're not the only one.
I'm not the only one who says Jacob Lautner.
Who says Jacob Lautner, so.
Taylor Lautner. Anyway, so cute little Jacob shows up and he gets Bella out of her shell. They start, and then she realizes though, one night out with her friend, that if she does something kind of dangerous, she hears Edward's voice like, bitch, don't do it. Don't fucking go over to that pedophile. So she realizes that Jacob can fix bikes. She wants to fix up a bike, get on it, ride it around, and just like fuck herself up so she can see Edward again. And so then Jacob goes through a change. Like he goes through this like massive like puberty, and is just down for the count. And then when he
at this point, we know that Bella's having a great time. She's like vibing with Jacob. Like,
yeah, like she's
healing a little bit mentally. Yeah. She's still, wanting to do crazy things, but she's, enjoying life as far as we know. And then Jacob.
Then yes, with Jacob, like looks like she's moving on, like she's still like you said, healing. Jacob drops off the face of the planet, like goes through, like I said, some sort of like puberty, some sort of illness, like they think it's mono, whatever, like those are the rumors flying around. And then he comes back fucking buff. Just beefed up.
Tatted up. Shaved.
So he's like mad at Bella. He's like, you shouldn't be around me, blah, blah, blah. And so Bella doesn't get it. Until one day she comes across Victoria's like hunting her or some. Oh, she comes across.
She goes into the fields where she dreams about her and Edward all the
Yes.
time. It's
Yes.
dead, and she has a tummy ache and like goes down on the ground. And then Laurent's like, "Hey, why'd Edward
Laurent,
leave
thank
you
you.
alone?" And then that's when we see the wolves for the first time.
Yes.
And we're like, "Oh shit, there's werewolves in this story now."
You're like, whoa,
Um,
what?
Fast forward, Billy or Harry
Harry
something
Clearwater.
has a heart attack while they're out hunting.
Because he saw Victoria.
Yes. Bella jumps off a cliff and Edward thinks that she's dead. So he goes to the Volturi to try to kill himself. Okay, so the whole thing is like a Romeo and Juliet situation. Like it's very heavy-handed throughout this whole movie.
Yes.
It literally starts out with her waking up having fallen asleep reading to Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
And then they recite Romeo and Juliet in the classroom. And then we end up in Italy where Edward tries to kill himself, but then Bella comes in the last minute, save the day, and then the Volturi's like, "Hey, turn her into a vampire,
or we're gonna come and kill all of you,
or else." Yeah. And then they're like, "Cool, dope, definitely do that." And then Edward's like, "Yeah, I'll definitely do that." Wink,
and
wink.
Bella's like
nod.
psyched. She's like, I have
fingers crossed behind his back. Like,
I have the vampire government backing my ploy to become a vampire. And Edward, for some reason, seems to be the only vampire capable of doing this. Is like, no thanks. Like, if I was one of those vampire fans, if I was one of the Cullens, and I found out that Edward wasn't turning Bella because he, like, whatever, he just wanted to be like a little bitch about it, I'd be like, okay, you're risking my life? No. Like, give me your shoulder, Bella. Ow! Like, I'm gonna take care of this for all of us.
So now that's the gist of New Moon in like a 10-minute summary. So I think right off the bat, we have a different director and we can tell right away because we no longer have this stupid turquoise filter over the whole movie. Like, color grading is
but not surprised.
The color grading is much better in this movie. It actually looks like a normal movie.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The filmmaking, I think, as a whole is more interesting. I'm not going to say better. I'm just going to say interesting because there are some questionable CGI in this movie, but you know, I'm not going to be too mad about it because it was like it was like 2009.
Questionable CGI throughout the entire series.
True. Also, they were rushed because pretty much like the day after Twilight was released, the studio was like, "Hey, a year from now exactly is when New Moon is going to be released." So the people involved making it were like, "Well, shit." And then Catherine Hardwicke dropped out because they didn't have enough. She didn't think that there was enough time for her to do it. So they had to like scramble and find this guy.
That's why they put that deadline.
Like they didn't have a ton of time to like get it done. So I'm not gonna be too mad about the CGI, but there's some shots, like specifically when Sam like jumps off the cliff into the water. I'm like, what is this?
It's like those like bad like student films where like they're like buckle up and like the kids like flying through the air and it's obviously a green screen.
Yeah. The running in this movie is not as like Mario Brother-esque.
And there's no treadmills, so we got rid of the treadmills.
I think there might have been for some
of
it
wasn't obvious that they were on
it wasn't as like cheesy.
I think the Volturi probably were on a treadmill or something like that.
Maybe. So, okay. Overall, what is your thought on New Moon?
It was my favorite book of the series because I'm Team Jacob, always will be Team Jacob, no matter how problematic Jacob is. Like, watching these movies, you're just like, okay. There's a lot to unpack with all the men in this series. Like, there's just Bella's you know, Bella's a lot to unpack, but like Bella is written,
she's just a vessel that's like
she's a vessel for the person reading. Like I enter Bella, she's the host. Oh, ironic because that's a book Stephanie Meyer wrote.
True.
But so I liked New Moon. Like, I liked the movie, honestly. I did. I enjoyed it because it's just like so many shirtless men, so many shirtless werewolves running around.
And I mean, okay, the part that was the stupidest to me was like, but also made sense and I kind of enjoyed it, was like Bella doing reckless things to like feel Edward's presence, because like that is kind of like a theme, if you want to call it that, like a consistent part of like this series is like whenever Bella's like in danger or like about to do something stupid, Edward is like, let's revisit this decision. Let's go back and talk through your process. He's always there basically to like save her. And especially in the horrifying incident that causes him to leave, like he was there to save her. And so, she's like, well, if I keep doing dangerous shit, like he's eventually going to know and he's going to come back and save me. So it kind of made sense, but it was so dumb when like his little ghost would survive when she's on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Just the way they like portrayed it, dumb. But the idea itself made sense. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting look into like, I guess like a breakup, like a teenager's like obsession with, not a teenager's obsession, but like loss, like coping, I don't know, like losing your true love or whatever. So it was like interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of like an addiction. Like she's addicted to Edward and whatever that means. So she does whatever she can, no matter like how reckless it is to see him, even if that means literally jumping off a cliff. A big theme in this movie is like Romeo and Juliet and love story that doesn't end well, or like the people who aren't supposed to be together, the star-crossed lovers.
Right.
I think it was like super heavy-handed in this movie. I already mentioned a few examples of where they use the theme. I think that it's just really, really, really dramatic for a high school love story. And I know that's like the deal with this saga.
Definitely knew their audience.
Yeah, because when you're a teenage girl and you're in love, it feels like the end of the world, and like it is the most heavy thing to ever exist. And like if you can't be with that person, then like you need to die. Like I think New Moon or Eclipse, I can't remember specifically which one, was my favorite book when I read them initially in high school. I think because Edward wasn't the focus, at least in New Moon, I was like, okay, this is more interesting. This is more my vibe. And like, I don't know. I haven't read the books in a while, but like, as far as I know, Jacob was more tolerable in the books. He was like a lot more chill. In the movie, he's like chill and like cool at first, but then as soon as he becomes a werewolf, I'm like,
all bets are off.
I cannot, in good conscience, be team Jacob either. Like,
I'm team Charlie now. Truth be told,
I'm just, I
need a team Charlie shirt.
I'm kind of team Emmett at this point because he's like just barely in anything and just kind of like says stupid shit from time to time.
Those one-liners, and you're just like, who asked you?
Yeah, like he's just like the cool, like he's just having a good time, you know.
He loves being a vampire, which I support. Like
oh my gosh, I saw a TikTok. It was like Edward reading Emmett's mind after Emmett watches Zootopia, and it's just like Emmett singing Shakira like in his head, like on loop, and Edward's just like so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Oh, true. I feel like I understand why Edward's kind of a tortured soul. He literally can hear every single thought a person has, or like a vampire or anything.
But you would think that it would make him more, have a little bit more perspective on things because he hears so many perspectives, like you would think that it would make him less of a dick.
I disagree because I feel maybe at first, like maybe he was like, oh, that's interesting. But it's like, constant, relentless. You don't sleep. Like you literally can't get a break from it. So I think after a point, it kind of broke him, maybe.
Also, you would think it would make him more progressive because like he's stuck in the, early 1900s. Like nothing has changed despite having heard like hundreds of people's thoughts.
I truly don't think Stephenie Meyer thought about it that much at all. Like
I don't
the
know.
thought, and yeah, I don't know.
Can we just talk about the scene where Edward breaks up with Bella and the fallout from that? I think the scene itself is shot really well. I think Ryan so wonderfully gave me the entire Twilight Saga DVD set for Christmas because we so enjoyed
The obsession's back.
Yeah, the obsession has returned. And with that comes the commentary on the movie from the director. So I watched that recently in preparation for our return to this podcast. And when that scene came on, he was kind of breaking down, the camera and all the stuff. And I thought that they did a really good job kind of showing Bella's like deterioration and like her stability mentally, because like it starts out kind of, it's on steady cam, but it's not like crazy handheld movements. It's kind of floating around them, but still pretty steady. But then like as the conversation goes and Edward's like, I don't fucking want you, Bella, like peace out, like the camera starts to do the Dutch angle on Bella because her world is like falling apart, but it stays steady on Edward because like he's still like fine. And then she lies down on the floor of the forest,
cold hard ground.
Yeah, so I don't know, I thought it was decent filmmaking for a movie.
I mean,
like
I
this.
noticed none of that, but it was still, my takeaway from the scene was like the ongoing meme. It could have been an email, but more like it could have been done in the car. Like, why?
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot like the transition into this scene where she just like gets out of the car and is like, oh hey Edward, and then like it pans over and he's like
he's like, follow me.
He's just like standing like facing away from her, looking just like somebody took away his ice cream or something. Like he's just like, oh,
he's like, a werewolf's gonna steal my girlfriend. Alice told me earlier, it's why I'm dumping you, you slut. I'm gonna go join the mafia.
But yeah, so then they go into the woods. I totally agree with you. It didn't need to be in the middle of the woods. And then he just leaves her there. Like,
knew she would like have like a horrible reaction. He was like, you know what? I want it to be a couple hours before they find her.
I want her to sit with this. I want her to suffer.
Yeah, really simmer.
To be found by a shirtless man in jorts to carry her out of the woods.
Yes,
like I love how when he brings her out to Charlie and everybody, like nobody questions the fact that he was just like, Charlie, I know like his
40 degrees outside, where's your shirt?
I know like his like friends and whatever probably like already know like, oh, he's a wolf, so like that's why. But like Charlie is just like, oh hey, thanks Sam. Like
Charlie's
questions asked.
It's not the first time he's like seen Sam like walking around barefoot without a shirt on.
Yeah,
because he's obviously really good friends with Jacob's dad, so I can imagine he's been out to the reservation before to hang.
But this is like a new thing too. It's not like they were werewolves the entire time. They were only werewolves because Victoria was around. Like they didn't, I think, right? Am I correct?
They were werewolves. Yeah, so their power only comes back, like only like comes to them when there's like a threat. So when the Cullens returned, they probably became werewolves. So that was probably like.
But the Cullens had been there, or I guess, yeah.
Because they left. Remember, they left.
Yeah. You're right.
So they came back like a couple years before Twilight took place. So they probably like started like becoming werewolves, like maybe like 4 years before Twilight began. So like that's why I would assume, Charlie's been out to the res a couple times at least in the last 4 years and had seen like just a bunch of boys running around without their shirts on. Just boys being boys, like marching into the house with a shotgun and like a six-pack to watch football.
I guess we could talk about like their uniform, their werewolf uniform.
I love it so much.
No shirt, jorts, and like tennis shoes.
What I always wondered, I have to say this like right off the bat before we get any further. Do they just they might have mentioned it in the books. They definitely don't mention it in the movies. Do they just have like a stash of jorts like tucked into like random trees and shit, or do they all just have to walk back naked? Like, what's the deal? Because the shorts clearly rip off when they turn
Yeah.
into werewolves. So like,
I was watching it with Ryan and I was like, they have to have like a wholesale connection somewhere. Like,
yeah, jeans are not cheap.
no. There's two sides to this, right? So there's like, I don't know, did Stephanie Meyer like actually write in that that's what they wore all the time? I don't remember.
She might have written it like definitely about Jacob. She definitely wrote that they didn't wear shirts, and like
Okay.
the reason that they didn't wear shirts was because like they kept ripping their clothes every time they transformed. I think it is like kind of an unofficial uniform in the books.
I was reading a couple articles about how like, you know, the vampires we have the two sides of the love triangle, right?
Mhm.
So we have the vampires, which are the white, you know, very, very white, like old timey, like very like polished white people. And then the really super emotional, half naked native people. And how that like ties into a really like old trope of native people in film. I haven't done a ton of research on this. I just like, I know that's something that I thought about when I was rewatching these movies. And I know that it's been kind of a point of critique on, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can critique Stephanie Meyer about, but like her Mormonism and her like the white men are the like they got it together theme is like really popping through when we get to New Moon, and it only continues throughout the rest of the series, like because Jacob just gets really, really hot-headed, like, you know,
really like, I mean, they're both really possessive, but he gets really like territorial, like I will make you mine, like I'll make you love me, like you don't understand yet, blah blah blah.
Yeah, like
And
he's just the angry you know, brown person. And the fact that he loses, you know, loses in the end just kind of furthers that like this isn't great. And you know, back to them being shirtless and only wearing like shorts and no shirt kind of ties into the primitiveness of like how native people are portrayed a lot of times in film and TV. But when the director was talking about like why they went with this, because he was like, they could have worn jeans, but like, you know, that's not hot enough. And I'm like, what? If they were wearing jeans instead of jorts, like that
like
seems
capri
more appropriate to me. But
meet halfway and give them like calf length jeans.
yeah, he was like, we couldn't do short shorts because, you know, like that's inappropriate. But like we couldn't give them jeans either because like I don't know why. So we went like knee length shorts.
They would have.
And his reasoning for why that was because he was like, you know, a lot of people are going to say it's because, you know, it's just like sexier. And that's why we decided to like go with this. But no, it's because they're poor and can't afford to keep buying new clothes. So they just wear this. And I was like, ooh. Like that's a lot to unpack. I
know. I don't even know where to start. Part of me's like, I'm not poor, but if I was a werewolf, I wouldn't want to keep ripping my clothes. Like that's just annoying. Just like base argument. That's just an annoying thing to have to deal with.
Yeah.
I think first of all, like that's a very aggressive stereotype.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even if you like, you know, even like the reservation, like the scenes, like they like really like, I don't know, they really don't consider it like, I don't know, I just don't think they put a lot of thought into like the set of the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of.
Well, I know that she didn't ask the Quillette tribe at all to use their culture or their name in the books at all.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that a lot, especially like I keep bringing up. I know I'm like I can't jump to Eclipse, but like it continues, like you said, like it starts in New Moon and just keeps going. Like I think it's heaviest in New Moon and Eclipse because like Breaking Dawn is like more about like Edward and Bella's marriage and like, you know, the fucking demon child. Renesmee.
Resume.
Resume. And at that point, like Jacob is kind of broken away from the pack. I'm pretty sure, like after Breaking Dawn, like at some point in Breaking Dawn, he breaks away from the pack as a whole, and he's like kind of on his own. So like especially in New Moon and Eclipse, like the Quaalude tribe is like really prominent, and like in Eclipse, like when they're doing the legends and stuff, I'm like, this is like, these are so, I don't even know if these are real, but they seem so fake and so like I don't know, they just didn't. I can't speak to like how like the Quaalude tribe would have felt seeing this movie, and like, but to me it just felt so fakey and like so kind of weird, and it just like again just like, you know, pushed more tropes and more stereotypes. So I don't know, it was kind of like,
yeah, I mean, I know that all of the actors that were part of the tribe or the wolf pack, if you will, like had to prove that they were of native descent. All of them except obviously Taylor Lautner, who is not. Or
really?
he's
I didn't
very,
know
very
that.
distantly related, but he,
Right.
you know, didn't grow up in the culture, didn't like it's not part of his life.
Right, exactly.
But like everyone else had to like provide paperwork and like
Interesting.
all that.
So like, but they make an exception because Taylor Lautner's hot, you know, and he's had
I don't
previous
know.
acting experience. I'm not sure what the resumes of the other.
I mean, he was gonna be replaced for New Moon because he was too
Really?
small. Like, you know, he was in Twilight and he was like still tiny. And they were like, either you know, buff up or we're gonna recast you. And he gained 26 pounds of muscle, and so they kept him.
Well,
But
okay, I'm a little proud of him for that because like he didn't let somebody tell him no. So good for you, Jacob. Or Jacob.
good job, Jacob Lautner.
Proud of you, Jacob Lautner.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just like, why couldn't we just have found someone who was native to begin with to like play that role in the first place? So that he's, because like all the, you know, supporting characters, it's fine if they're, you know, actually native, but the leading man, like
we don't give a fuck. Like the one that gets the most screen time, like it doesn't matter what his like heritage is as long as like he's buff, essentially.
Yeah.
He's buff and he has like, you know,
browner skin than Robert Pattinson.
That's not hard to do. Those are very, very low margins.
Yeah. Since we still have to get through Eclipse, do you want to just say like your favorite scenes in New Moon versus like the things that you hated the most?
Ooh, okay. Favorite scene is a tie between the theater, like the movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
When Mike just
face punch.
Oh yeah, when Mike is just straight up not having a good time. Like minute one, he's like, what? Least favorite scene is probably like just the whole like first 30 minutes. Like when he leaves, like she's depressed. I'm like, I get it. Like you need to see this. But I'm like, I don't know. Again, it's like it could have been an email. Like don't do it in the forest. Like
yeah,
it could have been condensed. I should just put it that way.
Yeah, I think jumping off of that, like her being depressed and like sitting, like the shot going around her, like being like October, November, December.
Oh
and then,
yeah, give me a break.
Like that was like, that served its purpose, you know, like we understood she was depressed for a long period of time. We did not then need to like continue on with her depression and like weird
like
dreams
for
like another 20 minutes. Like we didn't need
horrible for Charlie. Like that's the only thing I took from that is like Charlie is putting up with so much shit. It's not even funny. Like how is he not like died of a heart attack at this point, you know?
Like this movie was over 2 hours long.
I know.
It did not need to be 2 hours long. We could have cut out. It could have
been like a solid hour 20, like a solid like Disney children's movie feature length film.
Yep. Establish that Victoria is still around and is still a threat. Build up the relation, you know, have the inciting incident be Edward breaks up with Bella, and then we immediately like have the depression 360 thing to establish that she was sad for a few months, and then we get in to start building the relationship with Jacob. Like we don't need like the extra fat of like screaming in the middle of the night and like Charlie being tortured and all that stuff. So yeah, I agree. Biggest flaw with this movie is that it's way too long, and obviously the
Too much.
problematic elements within the film itself and representation. This is definitely not a healthy way to deal with breakups.
Yeah, just like
Do
toxic
not jump off a
relationships.
cliff
Do not jump off a cliff.
or
Do
get
not,
on the back of a motorcycle with a strange person that you don't
Yes.
know. Please don't do that.
don't take two dudes to a movie. I don't know. That was just like,
I've done that.
oh well, wow.
When I was
Judging you.
after, I can't remember if it was still during high school or if it was like right after we graduated, but like I was kind of floating between
Playing the field a little bit.
yeah.
I see.
See, this is why I relate to Bella so much, because like
Oh,
you know
wow.
I have hot girl energy.
Oh my god. Mystery hot girl.
I just like manipulate them into, you know, whoever can.
That's definitely your vibe, is mystery
Yeah.
hot girl who like can just manipulate men.
Yeah, so no, I definitely did do that before. I went to the movies with two guys that I was kind of hanging out with. But luckily nobody threw up and nobody like raged at the end of the night.
Threatened to like murder the other guy, like put him in
No.
the hospital or something like that.
I mean, she's manipulative throughout the entire thing, but like this is where it really begins, because like she goes out and is talking to Jacob and is like, I really like you, and he's like, okay, well then like I'm gonna not stop fighting for you, and she's like, don't, but it's never gonna work out.
Yeah.
It's like,
And she did. She gave Jacob so much hope, and then like that was all dashed as soon as Alice like rolled up.
it's just like constant contradiction. She's like, it's never gonna happen, but like, don't give up. Okay.
It's like,
What is he supposed to do with that? Like, Jacob, just stop. No, it's Ed. Well, she did say that. She did say, no, it's Edward.
yeah.
But, you know, like, usually the situation is like, the girl is like, no, it's not you. I want to be with this other person. So, like, please respect that. But she's like, no, it's Edward. I want to be with him, but like, don't respect that. You know, like, she's like begging him
But,
to to
like,
mess things up, you know?
I'll mildly consider other offers.
Yeah, like I'll consider it, but it's really unlikely.
Yeah,
Like
it's slim to none, but I like your effort. I really like your effort. You know what bothers me? Sorry, like how much control Edward has like over the Cullen, like the whole clan. Like Carlisle's supposed to be like he's not like I guess they're all supposed to be like equals, because like they're really old vampires. But what blows me is like, yeah, Edward's like somehow like the de facto like calling the shots. Like meanwhile, Carlisle's like, I have a whole medical practice. Like
I have a job, Edward.
I have a job. I have a job I don't need.
Edward,
But I
can you
really
get a job? Could you maybe?
Yeah, could you
Like,
maybe
stop going to high
pretending to be in fucking high school and Doogie Howser your way through med school and help me out, bro? This mortgage is not gonna pay itself. Like none of them work. They all literally just fuck around in high school. Unbelievable how lazy these assholes are. And Edward's like, nah, y'all, I'm gonna peace out
Hey,
to
my
Italy.
girlfriend. We gotta go. My
Yeah.
girlfriend. We gotta
my
leave,
girlfriend.
uproot our entire life because my girlfriend.
That's why I side with Rosalie in almost every situation. I'm like, I would be furious too. Like, it's not her fault. It's not this girl's fault for existing, but Edward sucks because you exist.
So then fast forward, we need to get to Eclipse. So we'll talk about the ending. Edward takes off his shirt and sparkles, and it's like the least attractive shirtless
Definitely did it
scene.
in front of like a field trip. Like there were definitely just like 20 kids like, what? and like Bella's like shoving these children aside, like, move.
For a movie that's supposed to be like, look at these two hot, these hot vampires and hot werewolves, like Jacob Lautner is obviously very attractive with his shirt off. He has no shirt for like 80% of these movies. But then Edward takes his shirt off and
He looks like a worm.
I think it's the white makeup that they put on him. I don't think it's like he himself. Like Rob Pattinson is a very attractive man.
He is. This is true.
And I'm not trying to body shame anybody.
Of course not.
The makeup that they put on him made him look sick. Like it didn't. I guess maybe that's the point because like he looks awful. Like he looks like he hadn't eaten in a while, and like he hadn't slept, even though vampires don't sleep. Like
yeah, like he definitely looked quite literally undead, like in that scene. I was like, ooh.
So maybe that's the point, but like, you know, as a teenage girl going to like watch these movies, like I don't care if he's sick and depressed. Like
yeah, meanwhile the director's like, I'm making art here, and like the teenage girls are like, shut up and give us a hot vampire. Same.
I love how our critiques this time around are like not like this is so toxic. It's just like,
why are they all ugly?
I want the vampires to be hot too. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so then we meet the Volturi. Pretty much nothing happens. Basically, Edward's like, yeah, sure, I'll turn her into a vampire. Good to go. They come back. Jacob's standing in the middle of the road while they're and they have to run into the woods to talk to him.
So fucking dumb.
It's real
like,
dumb.
So dramatic, so dumb.
And like Bella's still like, hey, like, don't make me choose. Like, I don't want to choose.
But I'm
like,
gonna
Bella, you gotta respect Edward. If you want to be with Edward, like respect him enough to be like, Edward or Jacob, like, we can't be doing this, you know? Like
we can't keep playing this game.
But no, she's just like, no, don't make me choose. Like, I love the attention. And then
yeah, pretty much.
Jacob runs away and Edward's like, hey, so like now that that's over and you're clearly you know, not still involved with Jacob in any way, you want to get married? And then she's like,
and then it's like, and then Bella's like, oh, got a couple things to cover first.
The classic last frame of an inhale.
It was like the end of Hamilton. oh Hamilton.
Go on to Eclipse. What is a very, very quick synopsis of Eclipse?
Okay, so I will give you the brief rundown. So basically, yes, as we'd said, Edward and Bella are considering marriage. However, Bella's like, you gotta turn me first at after graduation, and he's like, no, you gotta marry me first. And it's like back and forth, constant debate. Meanwhile, Victoria is like ramping up her vampire army. She's turned this guy named Riley for, I don't know why she chose him. Like the logic, again, not there, but she chose this guy Riley to start like, you know, snapping up hoes and turning them into vampires because she wants revenge on Bella for being the reason that her love was murdered. Very convoluted. Like she wants, because Edward killed her love, she wants to kill his. And so it's like the stupid, it's probably based on another like Shakespearean or like Jane Austen fucking book, because that is Stephenie Meyer's MO, is to like take classics and like transform them into vampires. So anyway, so this vampire army's coming up. Victoria's back in town. The boys are back in town. Vampires and werewolves are like, okay, we both have like a stake in the game because like neither of us want, you know, these vampires rolling up, nor do we want the Volturi rolling up. So we're gonna kind of like make a truce to protect Bella, to protect like our, you know, our truce. They have a truce, but they're like adding to the truce.
Yeah.
The addendum to the truce, to protect Bella, to protect like their own interests. And you learn more about the backstories of some of Edward's like quote unquote siblings, like Rosalie, Jasper. Those were the best parts of the movies, in my opinion, because they're so like Rosalie's especially. I was like,
oh my god, I want a movie about Rosalie.
I want a movie about Rosalie and like her, because like obviously she wanted a fucking journey before she joined up with Carlisle and Edward, because I think she was Esme, because she was like the fourth edition to the clan. So we learn more about them. We learn about how Jasper was basically some like ruthless like vampire like warmonger like crazy ass dude. So like there's like a obviously there was a dark side to Jasper this whole time, but you're like, ooh, spicy. Like I want to know, I want like a mini series about Jasper. I want like a full like film saga about Rosalie and then like a little mini series, like a three-parter about Jasper.
I think I could handle one movie about Jasper and maybe a mini series about Rosalie. Because I feel like if it was too much, if they did too much for Rosalie, it would get like a little cheesy.
Yeah,
Like
I
if
agree.
it was like a nice like 10 episode HBO miniseries, like
Ooh.
got some nudity in there, some like actual violence in there. Like
Yeah,
we get to
like
see
actual
her.
murder.
Yeah, see her like
With the wedding dress killing her
Yep.
her ex. Oh, I'd
Oof.
love it.
Oof.
To die for. To die for. So anyway, so it comes to the point where like the vampire army and the Volturi are like descending at once, and like they have to like like take Bella to like the fucking eagle's nest. And that's where basically Jacob finds out that Bella and Edward are going to get married. And so Jacob is furious. Oh, and at one point Jacob had kissed Bella. Like he was like, you belong with me. Like you don't know it yet, but like I love you and like we're meant to be. And Bella's like, no, bro, like no, stop. And then he kisses her, she punches him in the face and like sprains her hand because she's stupid. I just had to throw that in there because I feel like that was
it just ruins the moment too. Like they're trying to, that scene in particular, like when he kisses her and she gets mad and like punches him in the face and like breaks her hand, like
yeah,
the way that it goes down, it's like this like really high emotion like filled scene, and like you're supposed to be like, oh, this is really intense, and like
it's
he
just
kisses
cut,
her,
yeah.
and like that's the Jacob kiss that we've been waiting for, because like they've been building up this the chemistry between them, and finally happens, and it's like really uncomfortable, just like every single other kiss in this saga. And then she comedically punches his face. It makes the like sound, and she's like, oh, like,
oh, you fucking suck, basically.
it just
and
like
he's like
immediately takes you out of the scene. Like you're just like, oh,
I agree.
any emotion that I was supposed to feel like is gone, because this is hilarious. She just
she's so stupid. So sorry, I had to throw that in there because that was important. Like they discuss their relationship. It obviously is not going well, and then Jacob finds out they're getting married, so he like basically feels like he has nothing left to lose. So the vampire wolf like showdown's happening, and like wolves are ripping off heads, and vampires are like punching ribs of wolves, and it's craziness. And then Jacob goes in, and he's like rah rah rah, and he like gets caught up by one of the newborns who are like really powerful and just gets like crushed, like absolute body slammed, like boa constricted boa constricted by this newborn vampire. And then like so he's like really hurting. It's like pretty bad. So the culmination is essentially like the Volturi are like, y'all seriously, like get this shit on the road, like this is ridiculous. But Victoria's like, you know, she's done away with, like we get her, she gets her just desserts. But the Volturi are like, Edward, we are literally the vampire mafia. Like we will know if you don't listen to us. Like fucking do your shit. Do what you're told and we won't kill you. And so he's like, fine. Like and then Bella's kind of like, you know what? Like I can hold off. And then that they kind of end with like, oh, tee, I kind of want to live a little.
I kind of want to fuck before.
Yeah, I kind of want to bone big time. And then they kind of end with like, yeah, they're getting married, but like
I think she's still an adrenaline junkie, because like he's like, no, we can't fuck, my dick will kill you, and she's like, oh, but like I'm into that.
Yeah. She's like, like he's saying that and she's like unbuckling his pants, like you were saying,
you
like,
say yes.
Continue, please. So just a redonkulous movie.
Yeah, I think Eclipse can be summed up into Jacob is angry and says cringy things constantly. We get vampire backstories. Victoria and other baby vampires show up at the end. They're destroyed. and then Edward
Bella wants to
proposes,
fuck.
or and then like she says yes to getting married. Like that's
And she
Eclipse.
wants to fuck.
Another 2-hour movie that could have been an email.
And like a shorter email than
I
New
feel
Moon
like New Moon
somehow.
and Eclipse could have been combined.
Like a chain.
You
Yeah,
know?
like a chain email.
Like we have 2 Breaking Dawn movies, but I think they kind of make more sense in how they were broken up.
Yeah.
New Moon and Eclipse being complete separate movies because the conflict is still the same. It's Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
She was around in the first movie. Like we have to wait 3 movies in for any sort of actual conflict to happen with her, you know?
Right. I now want to reread the books because like Eclipse is massive, and I'm now curious like how did we fill all of this space? You know what I mean?
I think it was just a lot of the emotional like connection between her and Jacob and her and Edward, which is more interesting to read probably than it is to watch in the
Yeah.
movie, because in the movies like Jacob is no longer endearing in any way. He's literally just like the cringe master.
And he's like,
I am hotter than you. Like,
and
why
Taylor
do you gotta say
Lautner,
stuff like that, Jacob
Yeah.
Lautner? Why are you
Jacob Lautner, stop that.
gonna?
Being so rude. But Jacob Lautner's acting has like gone down significantly since like Twilight and New Moon. I just, like you said, it's like so cringy. And I'm sure like part of that's not his fault. Like that's the script. Like that's how they wrote the character. But I'm just like, I just cannot stand him every time he's on screen. I'm
It's
like,
just like a whiny, like there's no like they didn't do a very good job of building what the actual conflict is between the 3 of them, because either we're supposed to feel like she's actually conflicted between the like Edward and Jacob, but we don't, because she's like really confusing towards Jacob, but like we're never given like a reason to believe that she would ever actually leave Edward for Jacob, you know?
right.
And
Yeah.
so, and then Jacob is just really angry all the time. And I'm like, why does she even like hanging out with him? You know? So we're not given any reason to think that like
And like,
there's an actual conflict where she would leave.
yeah. And
So it's
again,
just
like,
pointless.
and like both guys, like, as we pointed out, suck. Like, Edward's an ultra conservative. Like, he tampered.
Old man, literally old
man literally tampered with her car to prevent her from going to see her friend. And like her dad hates him. Like, and Charlie is honestly like the North Star of this film, because any direction Charlie's going, I'm following, because he's the only fucking character that makes any fucking sense.
And Bella's mom, Renee, like when they go to Florida, she's
Yes,
just like,
that's
hey, maybe
true.
you should like slow down. Like you don't need to run away to Alaska to be with a boy. Like maybe we just like, live your life a little bit. And Bella's like,
Yeah.
maybe. And then it's like, how about we listen to the parents here? Like,
Yeah. And like I just, again, like they always portray like the mom. They always portray Renee as like some sort of like harebrained, like, you know,
wild
drifter.
woman.
Yeah, bag woman. And I'm like, no, she has this amazing like life. She found her true love in this like cute little, minor league baseball player living
She's
her
super
best.
chill. She doesn't care when her
Super
daughter like flies through a window.
Yeah, and like and yet like she's this, like I said, she's this amazing woman, but it's like, shut up, mom, like you're divorced.
You don't know what love is.
Yeah, you got divorced from my dad. It's like, okay, Bella, maybe you're just too young. You're just too young.
How do we feel about the like chastity or like abstinence kind of theme throughout this series?
I really love the "my dick will kill you" vibe. That's like that. Literally, if we have sex before we get married, you will die.
My dick too good.
Dick too strong. Dick
I
too
don't understand.
powerful.
I need more clarification from Stephanie Meyer on like how the bodily functions work for vampires, because it doesn't make sense to me. But
Okay, there's two things I want to talk about. about this like romance and like sex in the series. One, imprinting. We do need to discuss that.
Yeah. Yes.
And two, yes, the bodily functions. I kind of want to talk about that first though, because you brought it up. So vampires cannot eat or drink besides like blood, obviously. So they obviously do not defecate. They do
does
not
all
urinate.
the blood like from the people they eat like go to their dick, and that's how they can like get a boner?
Get the blood pumping. He like has to like crack open like a dude, like drink his blood
He's
before
just
he goes.
like, hey, I got my to-go cups of blood in Carlisle's fridge.
It's like a different kind of KY jelly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hate it so much. I'm gonna say that's not how it works, but
you better keep that in. But seriously, but then okay, so beyond boners, like beyond just like boners, it's like, do they produce semen? They're technically dead.
that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, because Bella got pregnant.
Yeah, but I mean,
like,
it just doesn't. I know we're talking literally about vampires, which do not exist theoretically, but none of it makes sense.
No, like,
and
just,
like, so like,
if you're gonna provide rules, you need it to be like make sense across the board. Like,
right, because like, like the male vampires can like produce semen. Obviously, got Bella pregnant, but female vampires with uteri, cannot bear children because they're dead, and that therefore they cannot create life. Essentially, is like what the logic of.
Well, men are like, you know, superior to women.
Yeah.
So
apparently, like they preserve their sperm, like
they can still. They're like
bowels.
gods, essentially. They can still create life. So
they can only.
this is just me like throwing shade at like.
What if
Stephanie Meyer?
So what if Edward? This is absolutely true. Edward is a 12-year-old virgin, and what if like vampires can only ejaculate once because it's.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that. I was like.
So the first
stored from like him never having jacked off ever, even though he was 17.
Okay, come on, ultra conservative, like.
You would think.
Tortured soul. No, I don't think he ever wanted to touch his weenie until he. What if he never got a boner? Like as a vampire?
He was underdeveloped as a human, and then.
Or like or he like hadn't had his sexual awakening literally until he met Bella, and then he was like, I want to tap that, and then he did.
He lived through the 60s though, like.
But he lived in like they probably lived in Forks, Washington, where all he did was go to high school for like 10 years, and then they moved away and they came back.
They moved all over the place though.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to speculate where they were in the 60s. My assumption
is your bottom line, your hypothesis is he never came until the first time he had sex with Bella.
It makes sense as to why he's so bitter and
they're just really unlucky if that's the case, because like the first time he came and the first time she has sex is boom, they're pregnant. Like that's just so unfortunate, you know? Like
it's not impossible.
Okay. All right. I mean, I can't argue with you. Like I don't even know where to go from here. So the movie. Do
we even need to talk about that anymore? Let's go back to the dick.
Okay, so we're still in Eclipse. Nobody's had sex yet, but we're talking about like the theme of abstinence.
Oh yes.
So let's
rein it back. Fine.
This is gonna be a wild episode.
I am so excited.
All right, so the theme of abstinence. I just think, you know, I'm not here to say, hey, high school teens, you need to go bone. I'm not here to say that. I'm not here to promote teenage sex. I'm just saying this movie is a bit much with its
definitely anti-premarital sex for sure.
Basically, she is just horned up, can't control herself, and the man has to be like, no, Bella, you need to protect your purity, otherwise I'll kill you.
Like, is Edward otherwise my penis will kill you.
Yeah.
Like, is Edward a priest? Like, the way he talks sometimes, he literally is like, I'm trying to save you. Like,
You would
salvation
think
is like a big thing.
this is what frustrates me. I know we've already talked about this, but like you're 100 years old. Like, loosen up, my guy. Like, you have all of eternity and you like didn't just get freaky with it like occasionally. You never just experimented. You're straight still after living for 100 years.
Now, we never established that. The 60s did exist. I cannot imagine
They're
Edward
all
like in an orgy.
straight.
Don't vampires like have orgies? Like, isn't that a thing?
I don't know, not in Stephanie Meyer's world.
Of course not.
They're
of
all
course.
very, very boring.
And they can appear in mirrors. Like this, I just throw the whole thing away. Throw the whole vampire lore of Twilight away, please. Spare me. But yeah, I definitely agree. The theme of abstinence is like uber prominent, and like but also like none of the. I just want to get like the perspective of like the other normal teenagers like in the area. Like, are they having sex? Like, who are they hooking up with? Like, how are they approaching it? But of course, that's not the point. The point is hot vampires and werewolves and Bella wanting to just hop on it, you know? So I don't know. I just like it was dumb. Like, you know, have sex when you're ready, like be careful, etc. is like the bottom line, like the takeaways.
Yada yada boring stuff.
Yada yada boring. Like I'll do a separate episode on my sex education. I don't get paid enough for this. Oh man.
Why do you think either Edward or Bella or Jacob is attracted to Bella? Well, we know Jacob is attracted to Edward's sperm
Wait, yes.
because
yes.
he's just attracted to Renesmee, who at this point is Edward's sperm. So I still don't know why he's attracted to Bella.
Isn't it like your eggs like are produced like they're like I don't know how often like an egg is made inside your uterus.
Once a month?
Is it just once a month? I really feel like it's like I really feel like you just got a whole batch of them up there.
Well, yeah, you have like a finite amount. We need to have a whole sex ed episode, Madalyne. Yeah, so you have ovaries. You're born with like a finite amount of eggs.
Yeah, I know that.
One is released every month.
Well, yeah, I know. What I'm saying is like at what point did like the egg that was supposed to be Renesmee, at what point was Jacob like, I want that? Like, you know what I mean? Because he's, as you said, he's been attracted to Bella like this entire time. And obviously, as we just relearned, the egg only pops out once a month. So I don't know. I guess maybe just because like she's been like a buddy to him and she's like somebody he's kind of known sort of his whole life, and then she comes back and she's like super chill and super like from somewhere else, you know, like she's not from he's someone she is someone he knew his whole life but like hasn't almost like gotten tired of, you know what I mean? Like when somebody new shows in, you're like, I'm interested just because like you're fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that built, and then, you know, the time they spent together during New Moon like definitely like heightened that, because she was like pouring her interest into Jacob because she had nowhere else to put it essentially now that Edward was gone. So I think and then like that led him on, and I think that's just like how it happened. I don't know. I don't think there's anything special about Bella besides the fact that Edward can't read her mind and that she has a really hot dad.
True. I think
I love Charlie.
I was just thinking that like the egg thing, like if he's like attracted to the egg inside Bella, it kind of reinforces this like life begins before conception thing that like Stephanie Meyer and the pro-life folks like to project. That's very much part of Breaking Dawn, not necessarily these two movies.
Yeah,
but it's kind of
interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because like if Renesmee is like a living thing that he can already sense like before she's even like fertilized. She's
Ew.
literally an egg.
Half of her is literally an egg.
Yeah. So
interesting. That's a good point. That's probably true. Gross.
I don't like thinking about that.
I don't like that.
So we'll talk about that more when we get to the Breaking Dawn movies. But
I'm excited and terrified.
Okay, so Eclipse. I feel like Eclipse is just kind of like a boring movie overall.
I agree.
Like we've already said, like not much happens. It's kind of just Jacob saying cringy shit, Edward being like, "No, I won't fuck you, Bella," and Bella being like, "Please," and then
dang it.
Yeah. And then Victoria showing up at the end again, and this time actually being taken out. And then the Volturi being like, "Yo, I thought you were gonna like do this thing," and Edward's like, "Yeah, we will, but like after we fuck or whatever, like after we get married." Did you have a favorite scene from Eclipse?
So when they're discussing like the history of like why werewolves are around and stuff like that, the old-timey vampire, like the first one that they kill, looks like Weird Al. First of all, I just have to throw that out there.
the like ghoul that they find in the woods,
yeah,
the like
ah, and then the wolves like tear him apart.
Also, why did the lady who sacrificed herself couldn't just like cut her hand or something? Why did she have to stab herself? If all they needed was like blood to like distract.
I don't know.
I know, whatever.
It wasn't there.
It's a legend. It's fine.
True. My actual favorite scene though was the scene where she's down in Florida with the mom, and the mom keeps saying the University of Alaska. Like it just kept cracking me up. I'm like, that can't be a real thing. Like the University of Alaska, is that a real school?
Probably.
I'm gonna look this up. Hold on a second.
Alaska is a state.
I know, but like
you would think they'd have a state school.
I mean, I'm looking it up. University of Alaska. Oh my gosh, there is one. Holy shit. I thought that was hilarious. I did not think the University of Alaska existed. Yeah, there's one in Anchorage. There's a few. There's one in Fairbanks. There's one in Juneau. And then there's one in Anchorage. Yeah, there's like 3 main campuses. Wild.
People in Alaska need to go to college too. So
well, okay, yeah, but
that was your favorite scene?
That I thought that was funny because I thought the University of Alaska didn't exist. Like, why would you? Never mind. I'm not going to
dig yourself into a deeper hole.
I'm not going to insult the University of Alaska. That's not my vibe.
Okay.
That was my favorite scene until I proved myself wrong.
Any other favorite scenes?
Just Eddie with Charlie, because he's just so distraught all the time, and I feel for him, and I just want to give him a hug. I just love Charlie so much.
I think my favorite might be the like tent scene, just because it's like
so annoying.
It's just so like dramatic and dumb. Like they just had to take her into the wilderness to keep her safe, and
the eagle's nest.
He has to snuggle her, and because he's hotter than Edward, and like Edward's just like looking like he's in pain, and it's just hilarious. And then also the Rosalie's story.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Loved that.
Because that's actually like gripping, you know, like the rest of the film isn't, I'm kind of like half invested. I'm just like, whatever, like, you know, but that part you're like actually invested in, like
you want to see more, and then it's all she does is show up in the dress to like kill her ex-mans, and
it just provides a lot more context to like why Rosalie is like, Bella, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
As a movie, like, how did you feel about Eclipse?
I mean, they do get progressively better as far as like
production.
Yeah, like I could tell like it's vastly improved from Twilight. I don't know. Part of me is like, why was this franchise so big? I mean, I understand why, but part of me as an adult is like, why did we ever like this? Like, why did we ever think that this was like fun? I mean, we didn't know better. That's the answer. But
It was
Yeah,
dangerous. It seemed dangerous and like exciting. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I mentioned this already, but like when I was watching these movies with Ryan, I said that Bella seems like the type of person who hissed at people in school. She has like
Oh,
no personality, no like outwardly personality, but she's just like quiet and reserved and like thinks that she's really deep and like has a lot going
that
on.
people. Oh my gosh. I don't think.
But she doesn't actually like outwardly hiss at people. She like
Yeah.
only hisses at people in her
Yeah, I
head.
was gonna say she definitely would not have like the gumption to hiss at someone for real.
um and so like that's just her weirdness and her quirkiness translated to like our younger selves, because we were like, we're weird and quirky, but we're like not that like
Damn.
empty, you know, like
Yeah.
the story around Bella is what is intriguing. But Bella, like we said before, is a vessel for us to put ourselves into, and be like, if this was happening to me, oh my gosh, it'd be so exciting, because
Yeah,
like
it'd be
high school is
so-
such a drag, you know,
So
like
hot.
I want to have two hot boys fighting over me
I mean, I still
violently.
kind of want that. Not gonna lie, I still kind of want two hot guys fighting over me. That
Well,
would be
yeah,
fun.
but
Yeah,
know.
I mean, who kind of doesn't want that, you know?
I don't need to be in existential danger at all times in
That's
order
true.
for that to happen.
They don't both need to be absolute monsters, like literal monsters.
They
in order
both
for
don't
this.
need to be like extreme polar opposites of toxic masculinity, you know? Like we got the super conservative stick up your ass vampire, and then we got the like probably listens to Joe Rogan, super hot-headed Jacob over here.
Definitely has a poster of like James Franco movie on his wall.
Yeah,
Favorite movie, super bad.
yep. I think I agree. New Moon is a better movie. Eclipse is pretty much just the ending of New Moon, but extended. Yeah, I'm really happy we got to revisit these films, and it's a great restart to another
It
picture
really
show podcast.
Gets the juices flowing for real.
Yeah.
Gets
Gets us pumped for the rest of the movies we're gonna do.
Gets all my opinion wheels a churning because I have many, apparently.
Yeah, awesome. Well, do you have any final words before we call it a night?
No. I'm just so glad we're back at it. I'm very glad that for the most part my dog has remained quiet.
Yes, he's been very good.
He's been pretty good. I think he's asleep. So I don't know if he's gonna sleep through the night tonight, but that's on me, I guess. But no other thoughts.
Cool.
Just vibes.
Awesome. I guess I should say where you can find us. Anyways, This is another Picture Show podcast. I'm Olivia. Madalyne is talking with me. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Instagram at Another Picture Show, and on Twitter at Another Pic Pod. And you can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, on iTunes, Apple Music, all that, whatever, Apple Podcasts, whatever.
Google Podcasts. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we're on there somewhere.
All the things.
Floating
So
around. Tell your friends. Tell your Twilight fans. Your older sister definitely read Twilight.
all right. So we will see you next time. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.